This is my first collection. It's quite short. And it's a weird little book, really, but I'm a weird little person sometimes, so it sort of suits me quite well. But it's called Bone Ovation, and it is kind of an exploration, I guess, of what we are at our foundations. So we are bones, I guess, but what else are we, and how does that be interpreted by other people? But in some cases, it's also about how we interact with other bodies, so whether it's the bones of the earth or some sort of metaphorical type of thing. It's also kind of covering mortality, because I don't know if you're the same as me, but as soon as you start sort of dissecting the body and thinking about the parts which make us up, you start to realise how vulnerable we can be and how fragile we actually are. So in a lot of cases, the poems kind of look at somebody who might be facing an end, or kind of facing end of life, so that their bones are starting to crumble, and then what happens after that. But essentially, all of the poems are a little story. I'm very into kind of folk tales and legends and things, and I like poems to be a succinct little thing. So in a lot of times they are just folk tales, and they all happen in different worlds as well. So whether it's the physical world that we live in, or whether it's a world of dreams, or whether it's a world of folk tales. So I tried to pick a few which were like quite a wide selection. So I'm going to start with one called The Rains, which seems to be the one that people remember most.
Brilliant, yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's a good start.
So glittery.
Oh, thank you very much. Gosh, well, that's a lot to live up to for quite a small poem. But I'll just go straight into it then, I guess. And to me, it sort of looks at age and how you might connect to somebody you've lost. And also the fact that when we die, maybe our bones might become the earth, but what happens to the rest of us, I guess. So The Rains. Each raindrop contains a soul, I'm told, and sleet is naught but the urgent need of the dead to meet their loved ones once more in the mortal world. To stroke their skin, to leave a living trace, a teardrop, a thin translucent meridian. My grandmother never used an umbrella and would tip back her head and eat the rain. She said it made her feel alive again. Thank you. The next one's a little different. So this one's probably one of the more philosophical poems, and it's kind of quite a good summary of them all. It kind of asks a lot of questions about who are we what we look like, are we where we're born, are we what we say, and to kind of an extent, can we dictate who we are by what we say? Can we talk around that? So this one is called Your Bones and My Bones of Chicken Bones. Holding hands, a wishbone splits us from collar to cuff, and only the clucking between marks stars from seed. Our eggs are born in our mouths, crowned around with a wreath of tawny feathers we invent with speech, and no expansive crowing will whittle the chicken into lark or goose or inky raven. The chicken is a chicken, splaying gnarled toes and plucking skull, and no new squawks will help that lie be sown. But our bones are the same, I grant you. Our bones are the same. Composite of brittle chalk and precious, like the stalks of daisies and chains, holding together a form paused in the effort of flight. Thank you very much. The next one is kind of a little folk tale, I suppose. It's a little story. I suppose it's a love story as well, between two quite unusual characters. So this is the girl who fell in love with the mountain. I kissed the southern face of a mountain. His coat scrubbed coarse, smelt of bones and the iron blood from ruined stone. The earth moved with me, fell beneath my lips, and I was received into earnest mud, an ancient epidermis of soft heathers, grass, and gallant crags enclosing me as his hill bairn. I lay immersed, fingering vast feathers, tickling to tender licks, his form, my body palm. And all the while I rested there, the sunlight streaks my hair with white. The next one kind of looks at an old legend of a Scottish creature called the Ashrays, which I won't explain too much about the because in here, but they're sort of a lost spirit, and they often lived in lochs or bodies of water in the Highlands. And it also kind of looks at when you're nearing your end, kind of what might you call out to, and how the veil between worlds might thin a little, or at least in your mind it does. So this one's called Clansmen. Bring me at my close the water dogs, my father would say. When I'm tired, waning, take me to play with those who ward the cusp of this earth, the Ashrays. You know them, my love? Like most, I want to meet my end surrounded by friends, my ancestors, my clansmen, leading me low to the world's bed. I trust they'll show me where to rest my head. So in his last days, skin yellow and soft, body wasted from the fight with his own particles, I brought him to the loch at dusk, the air dense with a salty musk and speckled with the dance of wind, sweat, tar and dappled wings, refracting the sun like fragments of glass. We decanted some vintage scotch at the lapping edge of the firth and settled, waiting for the shore to break, for the leap of a fish or a tail, for the rise of his pack. The next one, this one's a little bit different. So this one's called Transfigurations, and I was looking at kind of one person and thinking about how it's not just one person actually. You are composite of everybody in your life in a way, whether it's your children or your friends or your family or whatever. You are kind of a universe all in yourself. You're not just you. So I wrote this as thinking of one type of person in mind. I won't say who it is because you might work it out. But this person is a universe and it's capable of its own big bang in whatever form that might be. So this is Transfigurations. She folds up around them, asleep, nano-universes inside. Curling in chin, hands around a cup of talcum, soft as silk. Too soon they'll erupt, splintering elbows, knees, bolting from bone joints, creaking for oil and choking her within iron oxide clouds. An anatomical explosion. Her fledglings flee, skirting around their world's epidermis. She collapses into pieces, all arid, a junkyard of rock and wool. But after some years, they've stretched, found their own scope, tested toes, blown, and left lighter, fragmented, the younger, now grown, can finger the parts that make up the whole, know them again, work to piece together her bones, stitching skin with feather strokes, mapping her constellations with elegant trimmings, warm hands and the press of their lips. Actually, I'm going to read one more. Oh, and it's worth me saying as well, there is a poem here called Bone Ovation. It's at the very end. I wasn't going to read that because I thought you can read that if you read it yourself. This one is a story again, I guess, about a man who might not actually have bones. There's something else that makes him up. He's a bit alien, he's different, but he's just as much a part of the world as we are. And I guess what makes him different is given away by the title, so we'll find out. This one's called The Man Who's Made of Bees. Everyone knew George, a silent judge, unassertive but smiling George, a bachelor, tall as the shortest trees in Circa Valley, stout too, pure charisma, he bristled with it. He also rattled like bones in a jar up close. Whispers suppose that he might be an envoy, his glow born of more saintly stuff. His shape shimmered as if baked in intense heat, like sizzling meat topped with flaxen hair, soaring like buttery steam. His stillness gave some folk the creeps. If he had an edge, it'd be barbed, they said. Look right at him and you see your end. He didn't tend to stare that much. He'd sit, unmoving, eyes painted pitch, matte, not living. His gait lacked that reassuring boot slap and would appear in places without invitation. Your home, your shed, and hazy, like a hallucination. You know Marge said he stung her in the florist shop, just brushing by. She was left flushed and hyperventilating. It left a rash and she swore he flinched, itching at his skin. Have you noticed that he bristles with white noise when you lean in deep? He smells like drying wood. I know he'd make the sweetest honey if he liked to. His fingers would tickle, light as eyelashes or the fur of a cat, coat on end, teeth bared. Oh, his lips shine. I'd stick to them. I heard from Marge that the bees are disappearing. I haven't seen them recently, but I'm sure I've heard them buzzing.